Welcome to NXT, Stephanie Vaquer and Bully. You know, we saw Julia come to NXT with a lot of pomp and circumstance. What did you think of the debut of Vaquer on NXT last night?
Going right in. Bully, what did you think of Stephanie?
Yeah.
Well, I did promise the nation last night. I took to social media, took to the old Twitter machine right after Stephanie's match. I said, tune in to Bust It Open tomorrow morning. I will let you know what I thought. I liked it.
Okay.
I think Stephanie did very well, and I think Stephanie is going to do very well in NXT. When a veteran wrestler sees another wrestler that they have never seen for the first time, there's only one or two things you need to see right off the bat that tells you just about everything you need to know. The lockup. You can tell a lot from the lockup, and you can tell a lot from a back bump. You see a talent lockup, and you see that first back bump, tells you just about everything you need to know. It's like with a song. All I need to hear is the first 5 seconds, and I basically know if I like the song or not. Last night, that first back bump that Stephanie Vaquer took was so crisp, was speedy and crisp. I was like, wow, that looked really good. There was one to where I forget the name of the girl that she was in the ring with, and I do apologize. Do you guys remember
I know she was Maddie Rinkowski outside of the yeah.
Ren Sinclair. Want to give her her props too. But there was a spot where Ren sweeped Stephanie's leg, and man, did she take a crisp back bump. I'm gonna put her over right now, and I'm gonna tell you who she reminded me of with the speed and the crispness of the back bump. Tommy, who do you think I'm thinking of?
Male?
Yes.
Steve Austin.
No.
Okay.
The speediest and quickest back bump you ever seen in your life?
Pat Tanaka.
Ding, 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 circle gets the swear. Pat Tanaka. And that is a very high compliment because Pat Tanaka was one of the best just flat back bump takers ever. I liked what I saw from Stephanie. I loved the dragon screw out of the corner. I loved her the buildup of her momentum. She kind of reminded me a little bit of Braun Breaker with how she starts off a little slow, but bang, she ends up with speed and velocity and impact. Very good first night for Stephanie Vaquer. Liked what I saw.
So insane that you say that because, dude, when we say we share the same brain, I watched that match. The first thing I said was, man, she's a great bumper. And different, my trainer, Johnny Rods, attack the mat. And how she was bumping was just next level. And it was that same spot of the leg sweep that I was just like, man, this girl wants it. Those are things, they're intangibles that whoever trained her or where she cut her teeth, those were classic. I mean, also thinking about being in a lot of Mexican rings, they are stiff as can be. And that's also why my trainer, because I trained in a boxing ring, attack the mat, you won't feel it. And I was super impressed as well. I enjoyed her debut. I have seen her wrestle before. Obviously, I saw her wrestle in AEW, but, you know, also training probably at the PC has helped her. And same attributes, same things that Bully said. It's so funny that you said that because I would not have said that on air because I just noticed it like almost as an insider. Because it's kind of second nature for both of us, and I wouldn't have brought that up as a talking point. But I'm glad you did because we also have so many wrestlers that listen to this show.
Not that you wouldn't have brought it up because you disagree with the talking.
No, just I just didn't. Yeah,
matter of factly.
But impressive debut. I too, like, I was like, man, that there's a lot of things that can go wrong in that leg sweep. Not the leg sweep, the dragon screw that you do. Sometimes you literally have to trust the person to take you over with your leg, and a lot can go wrong, but she has done that excellent. I too enjoyed her debut. Not so much the aftermath for like the setup with the I got the beat down, but again I think he is selling, and the one
What,
girl who
Roxanne?
I
Julia?
hate when heels, I'm hitting the ring so I can duck something to hit somebody else.
Right.
And it's like we line up that way. There was just other placements that you could have done that. Also, Julia's headbutt is special, and I feel it just got wasted and thrown away because she headbutted Cora Jade, who then just got up to shoot her just to get beat up again. And there's different ways to layer that stuff in. I mean, watch old school wrestling. You'll understand it better, like how the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, people would bump for him. But if you are that fresh babyface, you can overcome anything. If it's two heels lined up and the old duck, my double clothesline, then just to give it a double deal is cool. But that lineup of, because then you gotten outsmarted twice. And yes, you're bad people, but you're also good wrestlers, so you shouldn't get outsmarted twice. There's the numbers game to it. It's just, that was the only part that I did not like, and I understood that you're going to keep your both baby faces up, but I just, positioning and all that stuff, it looks too choreographed and too set up, as opposed to here comes Ricky and Robert to save, to jump the Midnight Express, and even though it's a fight, and then here comes Jim Cornette with the tennis racket and somebody gets laid out to feed around to something else. There's just, it's just got to, Jim Ross, it's breaking down. It's the Wild Wild West. You need chaos in those type of scenarios instead of waiting. You don't wait for the fight. And as much as people can go over your matches, the aftermath and all that stuff are as just important, because what are we doing? We're setting up this dream match. But to me, how much is it a dream match? Because both my heels just got their asses kicked, not only by one person, but then by the other person. So it's not really a dream match. It's just different ways to go about it.
Dave, you following what he said about the two choreographed on the run-in?
Yes.
Both heels slide in, double block the punch, double whip in, double this, double that. That worked for Ricky and Robert back in the day, when they were doing like a double team spot. But we try to take that old pro wrestling that worked back then, because the curtain wasn't pulled back, try to get away from that. I want to see more of it. And what Tommy is saying, I agree with. I want to see more of a traditional, not an untraditional run-in. I want chaos in my run-in that can end up with one girl doing one thing and the other girl doing something else. And then we get the same desired result, as opposed to double block, double punch, double duck, double drop kick. It's entirely too set up. It's entirely too choreographed. We can get there in a more realistic way these days.
You don't need to wait. If you've ever been in a real fight, you don't wait. You react. You react instantly. It's punch. Like, you got to do so many different things because you're legit fighting for your life. I have been in these situations way too many times because of the man I'm talking with as well. But you have to, even when you're out there, it's strike everything in front of you. I'm why I use Ricky and Robert, because I just watched them with the Midnight Express, and then they dropped Ricky on the tennis racket. It was amazing stuff. But the fight, or Jimmy Valiant feuding with the Horsemen. Here comes Jimmy Valiant, and he's secondary to Dusty Rhodes, but here he comes and he's fighting for his life. And it's JJ, it's Tully, it's Arn, and then JJ Dillon, who takes amazing bumps, by the way, doesn't get enough credit for his amazing bumps, grabs the legs where, oh shit, I can't move. And then Arn capitalizes with, a great punch, and he's still fighting as he goes down. It's not like, here, do this, do this, do this. And when you're going to hit a signature thing, like, don't throw things away, because Julia's headbutt is special. And the only way you make things not special is if you just throw them away, and then they just become commonplace.
And I think the other thing as well, and I agree with you on the chaos, that fits much more, and I think it would get even a bigger reaction from the crowd to set up a match. at a pay-per-view like we're going to see at Halloween Havoc. But Bully, back to your point about the Rock and Roll Express. The reason it worked for the Rock and Roll Express is because those two guys knew each other so well. They were like brothers. They did so much in the ring together. So when you saw them do things like that, it's like, of course, because they know each other so well and their chemistry is so good together. They could do those things. That's not the case last night with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. So I agree with you. It seemed a little bit too choreographed for me with after that match last night.
Now, not taking away from Stephanie's match, but these are honest and fair points that we're talking about here this morning. Stephanie did a really great job. Let me bring this up to you guys. In my opinion, Julia had a good first match. It was good. It wasn't very good. It wasn't excellent. It was a good first match. Do you see the difference in Stephanie's first match versus Julia's first match?
I do see it. I definitely see it. Tommy?
Yes.
And it's just because of the background and the training. When Tommy talked about Stephanie attacking the mat, her background, her training is probably more aggressive than Julia's background and training. And you could see it in the work. And I believe that's where they want to get Julia has everything it takes to become a mate. I believe that they both do. I think that they both have unique looks. I believe that their styles will work once they become accustomed to the psychology, the character development, and the in-ring work. I think they both have it. I think it's going to take a little bit more getting used to for Julia than it will for Stephanie.
Also, I mean, we were talking greatest bump takers, Shawn Michaels. Shawn would attack the mat. When Shawn would take his flippy bump in the corner, it was so much different than Ric Flair's. Rick's was almost graceful, but Shawn would just destroy it. Bret Hart, another person who would attack the mat when he bumps. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, just different, styles of bumping. I agree. I think right now in the NXT women's division is on fire, and they have there's WWE superstars. They have mega stars in the waiting, and it's an exciting time to watch. If you're in that locker room, you need to be super competitive because you could see these are going to be the main focus for however long they're going to be there. So how do I step up my game? And simple as attacking the mat. To also go off the point of the run-in, I enjoyed the Ridge Holland Chase U run-in because I'm on the table going to do something. The music hits. It made Ridge Holland look like such a badass. He gets off the table onto the floor, into the ring, and meets in the middle to then have the duck, to then have the big explosive maneuver. And what you can hear the excitement in it, because the moment he hit the ring and there was the physicality, they exploded. I always go by my ears. I just watched it on Monday, and I did it on Busted Open After Dark, the Damage Control versus Jade Cargill. The moment Jade came in, they made the tag. She does the skip over the top rope. There was a duck and then a strike, and it went nothing. And that's when you could say, wait, something I just did was not right.
It's insane that you just brought that up, because we did not get to talk about that on yesterday's show. We didn't talk about that tag match. The hot tag to Jade Cargill on Monday night was completely, in my opinion, and Tommy just pointed out, not done correctly at all.
It was also babyface, but there was a lot of setup where Jade went to throw the first punch in a match where it's babyface. In that opening spot where Bully was talking about, did you see in the openings, with the leg sweeps, that opening spot, Jade went to throw a punch. And I'm like, why would Jade who is a beloved babyface, also super strong, throw a punch at a woman who's slow, a clothesline, a back elbow, anything but a punch, because that means I'm going to punch you in the face and I'm going to be the aggressor. I do feel that Bianca and Jade could be massive heels, but I don't think WWE wants them in that, because going into that match and leading into, Busted Open After Dark, I was just like, wait, that was my whole topic of the entire conversation of who are my heels and who are my baby faces. Because, and I know I've gotten off track here, but my heels were making sense and saying things that were true, and my baby faces were being the aggressors. And, specifically in that match, you just got to go, yes, they'll rock once you get the next move. But when you hear, and I always tell baby faces, because again, me, blessed to talk to Terry Funk, to talk to Dusty Rhodes, to talk to Ricky Morton. And Ricky Morton be like, man, you got to knock that guy's, dick in the dirt. You got to knock that guy out. You got to drop that guy. Dusty Rhodes, the same thing. And once you have that, I see it all the time where people come in, hot tag, yay, they duck to hit the person off the ropes.
Awful.
It just drops. And that's when you audibly hear that, you're just like, oh, I just did something wrong. If you go to a baseball game, you can see, you can't see the pitch. It comes in so fast. And when I'm at the Mets game, I could not tell what's a ball or a strike. I could hear it because of the crowd. Because the crowd is telling me, strike. Ooh, ball. It's a different tone. So that's the same thing I hear when I watch different wrestling matches. And also, I'm crazy.
When a tag match is done correctly, Dave, the bad guys get heat on one good guy. They beat the good guy down. They punch the good guy. They kick the good guy. They manipulate the good guy. They do things they eye gouge the good guy. They do all of these things that are not within the rule book of pro wrestling. So when a hot tag is done correctly and the people want to see Ricky and Robert 101, when they want to see Ricky tag Robert and that tag happens and the people blow, what's the first thing they want to see Robert do to the two bad guys?
He wants them to throw punches. He wants them to go at them. Yep.
In the face. I always say, and for everybody who can't see right now and you're listening, I have my fists in the air, pointing them at the camera. This is where a baby face lives. Two fists in the air, punching the bad guys in the face. Bump and feed, bump and feed, bump and feed, bump and feed. After the fists can come the elbows. After the elbows can come the clotheslines. After the clotheslines can come the moves. That's the progression. No duck. You've killed the hot tag the minute somebody ducks out of the way. Those people are right there for the taking. They're ready to explode. They're ready for whoom, 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 like we used to hear when Dusty used to blow his comeback and throw those elbows, or any other great baby face. The second you take that away, the response of the crowd, the audible response from the crowd, gets cut in half.
I just feel like when I'm watching Jade, and maybe Bianca Belair is not the right tag team partner for her, or maybe being in a tag team in general is not right for her. I feel like in that moment, like a hot tag, that she hesitates. There's hesitation there. There isn't that urgency. Do you feel the same thing? Like it almost like there's a slight hesitation from her every time she gets that tag.
Dave, once again, I can't believe we're talking about this. I thought about this the other night. Here's my take on Jade. I think Jade was mentally more comfortable in AEW. I think there's a lot more pressure on her in WWE. the pressure of she came over with what is it called, high expectations.
Yes.
She's doing well. She's got everything you need to have to become a megastar there. But when she moves, yes, I see her thinking. Because a lot of the times, Tommy, back me up, especially with the women's matches, things are very much put in certain places. And it's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And if you're always thinking about what's next, you're never living in the moment. And if you're not living in the moment, that's where the hesitation comes. Tommy, yes or no?
Yes. I mean, you also think about she was super unique in AEW. There's a lot of big muscular women in WWE. And so like, okay, when everyone's on an equal playing field in AEW, she was the most unique. How do you capture that uniqueness? And I do feel she is another person, a mega star, but I also feel that she could be a mega heel and continue to be like that upward trajectory that she was given at the Royal Rumble. There's just the littlest of things that, yes, that need to, it's hard to point out to state, but if I'm dealing with the talent specifically one-on-one, it's like, hey, do this, hey, do that. If I saw it the other day and I wanted to video it and use it as a tool, Eddie Guerrero blowing a comeback against Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. He blows the comeback. He's literally in the middle of the ring. He does a move, turns around. There's the other guy. Turns to his left. There's another guy. And it was one of the best comebacks I ever saw. It's instinctual for Eddie Guerrero, but I turned to my left and everything was done in the middle. I turned to my left, there's a guy. I turned to my right, there's a guy. The bump and feed is as important. There was no hesitation, no waiting. I have been in real situations where we walk into a place and I'll be like, all right, there's fans here. We're scoping it. Bully will look and he'll be like, because he's looking at it. And we're like, okay, if this guy's going to be a jerk, okay, there's my exit. There's this. And I know I think a little differently, but then I also sometimes travel with our security in TNA and he'll look at me and then he'll be like, he's got a gun on his hip pocket. There's a gun on his boot.
You got to bring me back. You lost me. How did we go to Eddie Guerrero bumping and feeding Shelton and Charlie to?
I'm talking about react just by reacting, not just by waiting, hesitating. You have to be there. And if the opponent isn't there, you then have to get that opponent. I was talking about the greatness and the example of Eddie Guerrero doing it. To the anticipation of the hot tag is, okay, me and you walking into that bar or that restaurant where I know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. So I got to be prepared for everything. And if something goes awry, I'm still going to be there and I'm going to be there on top.
And you could see with Bianca Belair, she's like a train. She's going 110 miles per hour. Like, I almost feel like she has that type of mindset where you have Jade that's hesitating. So there's times when they're both in the ring, I almost can feel the frustration from Bianca Belair. You can almost read it on her face at times, Dave, where it's like,
bravo, Dave. You're dead on balls. You're so right. Because I think Bianca realizes that she has to kind of kick it down a notch.
Slow it down a step in order for Jade to catch up.
But that is the true measure of a pro within a tag team match. Knowing that, hey, if my partner is a little weak in a certain area, what do I need to do to make sure my partner doesn't look as weak? I'm not saying Jade is weak, but yes, I can see that frustration also. Also, last point about Bianca from me. Dave, Bianca Belair has a beautiful face, yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bianca Belair has a beautiful smile, yes or no?
Yes.
A vibrant personality.
100%.
Lights up the room when she walks in.
Yes.
Bianca Belair is a heel.